Hey guys, Dr. Bodle here, and thanks for joining me today as we talk about how you can use adaptogens to help out with some of your Hashimoto's and adrenal related symptoms. Now, the tricky thing about these two systems, our thyroid axis and our adrenal axis, is that many times when we start to have dysfunction in these areas, the symptoms can look similar. But if I'm trying to differentiate the two, and I'm trying to determine if someone does have changes in adrenal function, then I am thinking about fuel and fuel delivery. The reason being, our adrenal cortex releases three primary groups of hormones, including cortisol, aldosterone, and sex hormones. And those first two that I mentioned, cortisol and aldosterone, are very heavily influenced in our ability to utilize things like glucose, proteins, and fats for energy, and also make sure that our blood volume and blood pressure is adequate enough to get those fuels to the cells that need them. But what does that really mean? Changes in fuel and fuel delivery. It means that whenever there's an increase in demand, whether that demand is fairly normal for you, like getting through your workday, or it's more excessive, like a day that you're extremely stressed out or your exercise is tougher than usual, your cells essentially can't keep pace because they don't have enough fuel available and therefore they have limited amounts of energy. So when the demand goes up, maybe they can keep up for a little bit, but soon they're going to fatigue. This can manifest as symptoms such as being a slow starter in the morning and needing some sort of pick-me-up to get going. You might have cravings for sweet or salty foods. You can feel a drop in energy or have afternoon fatigue around 3 or 4 p.m. You can have headaches that get worse as the day goes on. And finally, you can have difficulty falling asleep, difficulty staying asleep, and when you wake up in the morning, you just don't feel like you were well rested. Again, some of these can sound like our classic Hashimoto symptoms, but whenever Hashimoto's is something that we're struggling with, we always want to consider that our adrenal system is being impacted because Hashimoto's creates a chronic stress on the body, and that can significantly interrupt the way that our adrenal axis works. Now, I've said before that I don't like saying adrenal fatigue, and that's not because I don't think the symptoms are real. Rather, it's because I think the term is misleading. When we say adrenal fatigue, it makes it sound like our adrenal glands are tired or they're not working properly. But in reality, the vast majority of the time, the reason we're having these adrenal related symptoms isn't because there's a problem with the gland itself. Instead, it's due to changes in our brain function and brain sensitivity and interruptions in the way that our brain communicates with our adrenal glands. Chronic stress and inflammation that can come from Hashimoto's creates an unhealthy environment for the brain. And in these unhealthy environments, it can be difficult for the brain to determine when it needs to make adjustments or fine-tune our adrenal response. Therefore, if we do need to increase our energy levels by increasing the amount of available fuel, sometimes the brain can be slow to react. And when that happens, it makes our system less resilient and more likely to crash. So how can we combat this and help our system to heal, recover, and be more stable? Well, one of the things that we can use is adaptogenic herbs. And I think oftentimes for people with Hashimoto's, it's something that either isn't considered or it isn't used properly. It's super common for practitioners that when someone walks into their office and they have thyroid and Hashimoto's issues, to immediately look to all their thyroid-related tools. Now, of course, that might be helpful, but it ignores the fact that our thyroid is integrated with all these other systems in our body. And just like we know, Hashimoto's can have a negative impact on our adrenal system, as we work to heal, we want to approach things holistically. And if we're having problems in these adrenal areas, then providing some support there can help with our overall goals. But even if you're working with someone or you've done research on your own and you realize that, yes, you want to support as many of these systems as possible, sometimes we can still get it wrong when it comes to application. In some situations, people end up taking it too far. And they think, well, if I have adrenal problems, then that's the only thing I should be focusing on. Unfortunately, while adaptogens and other adrenal strategies can be helpful, if we don't address the primary stressor, which is Hashimoto's in this case, then we'll continue to have breakdown and failure to see progress. So if you want to use adaptogens, like we'll talk about here in a bit, great. But at the same time, don't forget that we need to identify immune system triggers and support our immune system to make sure the Hashimoto's is progressing as well and taking some of that stress off of our adrenal response. Now, when it comes to actually taking adaptogens, these herbs can be very helpful because they help to normalize the stress response of the brain, and they can provide a stabilizing effect on our entire adrenal system. But with that said, our adrenal hormones aren't something that is consistent for us all day long. There's a rhythm to it. For example, cortisol is something that should be high in the morning and then be low in the evening time. And because of that rhythm and because of that change, I think it makes sense for us to provide support to all different phases of the adrenal response rather than a supplement that we would just take one time during the day and then forget about it. Now, all adaptogenic supplements are going to be a little bit different because each company has to make their own proprietary blend. So these numbers that I'm about to give you are approximations, and don't worry if your particular dosage is off by 25 or 50 milligrams one way or the other. But generally speaking, I like to use supplements that have a few different adaptogens in them. The reason for this is because there does seem to be some amount of individuality in the way that each of us responds to these different herbs. Some may have more of a profound effect on us, and some may have less. But if we can use them in combination and they can start to work synergistically, then I find the results to be better. Now, of course, there are going to be some of you out there who are very sensitive to different medications and supplements. And in those situations, it might be better for you to select a single adaptogen and test it out by itself. Once you can confirm that it's something that you do tolerate, you can then look to add other options and create your own personalized combination of herbs. But for those of you who have a little better tolerance, then looking for a product that contains about 200 milligrams of ashwagandha, about 200 milligrams of Panax ginseng, somewhere around 100 milligrams of holy basil, and also 100 grams of rhodiola could be a great place to start. Again, those numbers don't have to be exact, but somewhere in the ballpark. Now, once you found a decent option, I always think starting slow and confirming that you tolerate it is a good idea. So taking 1 capsule per day for 3 days as part of your test phase rather than your support phase can be a good place to start. I also like to recommend taking these kinds of supplements with food because although it's not a huge problem, sometimes the herbs can be a little bit uncomfortable on our digestion, and having some food in our stomach can help to balance that out. But once we've tried the supplement out and it's not causing us any problems, we then want to use it in a way that we just discussed, which is supporting each phase of your adrenal rhythm. That means taking 1 or 2 capsules in the morning when you wake up, 1 to 2 capsules during the middle of the day, and also 1 to 2 capsules in the evening with your dinner. The effects aren't always super immediate, but I like to think of it as a slow charge to a battery. After 1, 2, or 3 weeks, as long as you're making sure to support your Hashimoto's as well, we should start to see improvements in your energy and in your endurance. You should feel better with your energy in the afternoon and have less headaches. When your day is more active and demanding, you shouldn't be so wiped out in the evening. When you're exercising, it should be a little easier for you to push things and then feel fine afterwards. You should notice your hands and feet not being so cold, and that your recovery to things in general happens more quickly. Of course, as with Hashimoto's and any kind of supplement, we always have the potential to have it not be a good fit. And so if you've tried adaptogens in the past and they haven't worked well for you, then don't feel like this is the only opportunity you have to support your adrenals, and don't force something that doesn't feel right. This is just one option that is typically well tolerated and can be successful for a lot of people when it's applied correctly. But I hope that this video helped you to better understand the connection between Hashimoto's and our adrenal system, and it gave you a new strategy that you could potentially implement or optimize some of the adrenal support strategies that you're already using. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them for me in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get back to them. If you like this video but you need more help and you're interested in working with me, then I'd recommend sending an email to contact@seattlethyroidhelp.com with course in the subject line to get more information about my online course, Natural Hashimoto's Transformation. In the course, I help women with Hashimoto's who are not getting a lot of help and support from their doctor. They want to make changes, but they're frustrated and overwhelmed by trying to do things on their own. Go from feeling exhausted, tired, and confused to making confident choices around nutrition, lifestyle, and supplementation, allowing them to make real changes when it comes to their health, understand their Hashimoto's better than they ever have before, and be able to live their lives again. The course includes 8 modules, which provides you all the information you need to truly understand your Hashimoto's and your body. And it also includes a clear plan and action steps that you can tailor to your own needs and truly start making the improvements that you deserve. In addition to the course material, there's also weekly live question and answer sessions and a Facebook group where I can provide you support every step of the way. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, make sure that you reach out. That way you and I can hop on a call to chat and see if things are a good fit. If you want to keep learning on your own, there's resources for that as well. You can check out any of the other videos right here on my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook for regular tips, strategies, and information, or you can grab either one of my free downloads, which are linked in the description box below. But that's it for this one. I love you guys. Keep learning, keep making changes, keep taking care of yourself because improvement is possible. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. But my name is Dr. Bodle. I hope you have a great rest of your week and I will see you in the next one.